or two last questions before we get into the ritual part, which is the end of the
Oh no.
of the podcast.
Do we also have to? Did you read that Megan Fox occasionally drinks the blood of her
What?
fiance? Yeah.
No.
Is that the ritual we're gonna do?
No. Another type of ritual. Blockchain, crypto, NFTs, DeFi, Metaverse, Web3 is literally eating the world, and community builders are the new leaders. Hi everyone, I'm Bilal El Alamy, co-founder of PyratzLabs, a startup studio fully dedicated to Web3 startups. In PyratzLand, I'll give the mic to Web3 builders, founders, and investors so that we can deep dive with them into what is truly about Web3 entrepreneurship. No conventional bullshit, only creativity, rebellion, and community-driven insights. So for this first ever podcast, I received my very good friend and business school camrade, Maxime Stoeckl. It happened that Maximilian and I, we co-founded lately Dogami, which is this revisited Tamagotchi or Nintendogs with NFTs and augmented reality. And so I decided to invite him so that we can share this safe space. We'll be discussing about his childhood, what inspired him. We'll try to understand who were his mentors and what drove his inspiration. In the second part of the podcast, we'll deep dive more into the offering of Dogami to its community, and Max will share with us some insights around this community, the growth, and the objectives for the end of the year. And then we'll finish with some routines where we'll discuss some news of the week, and I'll be asking some funny questions to Max to see how he reacts. Thank you, everyone. Maximilian, how are you, bro?
I
can call you bro because we're pretty good friends.
Yes.
I have to admit, I cheated a little bit since it was my first podcast. I wanted to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So I invited you. Thanks for coming over.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Well, a quick introduction about kind of the physiognomy of the discussion. I'm going to start by a quick intro about you. Not kind of the bullshit stuff, like close background. I want to go to deep background, your childhood, who influenced Maxime Stoeckl. Then we'll go more around the product, and you'll tell us more about Dogami and its fame. And finally, more centered around the founder that you are. How did you end up in Web3? What are the big challenges for you in Web3? Who do you think are now kind of the influential people that you are following to be at the top in Web3? So here's how we're gonna have this this discussion.
Yeah.
So let's start. Tell me, who's
Sure.
Maxime Stoeckl? Where did he grow up?
Yeah. So I grew up in Austria, very much in the countryside, somewhere at the intersection of Czech Republic, Germany, and Austria.
Okay. A lot of cultures.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's a village with 2,000 people. Yeah. Pretty chill childhood, I have to say. And yeah, but then I moved on, went to, let's say, Vienna, studied business, and then moved to Paris to study. That's where I met you.
Yeah.
As you remember, did an exchange semester in Canada, and now then I lived in Munich for a while, and now I'm here.
Great. Who inspired you in your childhood? We all have this person who kind of was a turning point in our core values, and in kind of the person we want to become. Who was that person for you?
I reflected a bit on that, and I would say it's probably my grandfathers who inspired me most.
Okay.
I mean, you have to imagine, so they're entrepreneurs as well, and what they did back then is pretty much when everyone else was a farmer, they started different businesses.
Okay.
So, for example, in one case is like they did not only grow crops, but they basically planted trees and planted plants.
Okay.
And there wasn't even a market for that back in the day because it wasn't known. And we're now talking like 1880 or something like that. So, and then, they evolved, company evolved, and it's a quite big company, I would say, like 80 people or something like that.
Okay. And so,
And yeah, sorry.
what inspired you is the kind of your grandfather thinking outside the box,
Correct. Yeah.
basically. Okay,
You know,
interesting.
like everyone else was doing different things, and they the same thing, and they decided to do something else.
And how was
Very
he?
much what fit their context back in the day, right?
Okay, interesting. And how was he? Was he more kind of a wise man? Was he more as a businessman?
He's still alive, yeah, so that's great. Um, a mix, I would say. He's more a businessman, but
Okay.
also very innovative. He took a lot of bets,
Okay.
I would say.
Okay.
And you know, I heard
So
his
boldness.
boldness, yeah. But you know, they were just traveling around Europe, etc., and trying out different things. As I said, in their context, it was not the usual thing to do because
Okay.
everyone else is just farming, and they
Yeah, I
tried
see.
to. So really, those are the biggest influences, I would say.
Interesting, interesting. Kind of the same question, but in another moment of your life. I truly believe that an entrepreneur cannot succeed without mentors. Obviously, the sooner you have mentors, the higher your chances to succeed. And obviously, as you grow and learn, you have different mentors for each step of the way. Who do you consider as your professional mentor, and why?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a few. So depending a bit on the phase of my career. But yeah, there were always pivotal people, I would say, that really broadened my horizon. And I fully agree with you. Like whoever believes that you can just start from zero. I mean, those cases exist, but they're not common.
No. I mean, I wouldn't say it's luck. Obviously, luck takes more part in it than regular people. But no, I think obviously everybody should be very humble on how they reach to success. And for me, it's definitely impossible to do it by yourself. You have to rely on other people, and they rely on you, and etc. So okay, thanks for this introduction. You had something to add?
No, I mean, just about the mentors. I think I always paired up with people that are not like me, I would say. Like, for example, I was working in Vienna with that guy who's like a great salesman, had a lot of vision, and that was really cool. Like, I really sort of also challenged myself to become different. I mean, by default, I'm very much an introvert.
Okay.
It's just my personality, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But also, you have to acknowledge that you have to evolve as a person. And there were a few pivotal people like Andy, that guy in Vienna, I was talking about. And then at BCG, I also got to know some people, project leader with whom I worked for like 2 years or 2.5 years, plus the MDP I was working with. They really inspired in their humbleness, but also in the way they approached things, which is obviously very different from the first guy, but still professionally I learned a lot from them.
And how do you mix this with the entrepreneurial mindset that you have for kind of a year now?
I think a vision, like the professional side is important for execution and planning, because a vision without execution is just a dream. So I think it's important that you get experience in a professional environment, but also that you have your artist friends, I don't know, DJs, painters, whatever it is, actors, because I think those have just very different approaches to things. And I myself at least try to, I'm not very successful to be honest, surround myself with people who do other things than I do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I truly also believe that by trying to maximize the complementarity that you can have with others, can only maximize the productivity.
And it's also just interesting, right? I mean, getting to know different things and getting to know how other people think and getting different perspectives.
Well, curiousness is definitely extremely important to become an entrepreneur and to sustain the entrepreneurial adventure.
I fully agree.
Because you have to renew yourself a lot and a lot. So,
and it's also not only like, I think you also have to venture out and meet different cultures, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We had this chance of growing in mixed environments. So yeah, it's definitely energizing.
Oh yeah.
So jumped in the entrepreneurial side. So let's talk about Dogami.
Yeah.
What are the origins of the project?
I would say it's you. Yeah. It was pretty much a year ago, so for the community, that Bilal called me up. No, he actually, the first thing was an enigmatic message. So it was more like we were buddies at uni and we studied together for a year or so, and then we stayed in touch for the 3 years to come. And then I sort of reached out to him whether he has a gig, like for his previous company, etc. And he's like, no, not really, but he's gonna keep his eyes open and ears open. And then 2 weeks later, I received this enigmatic message, like, we're doing this DeFi and dogs and this killer venture. And I was like, what are we doing? And I wasn't very deep in the blockchain space. I bought some crypto and knew about NFTs, but I didn't know much. Anyway, I was like, yeah, sounds good.
That's pretty much what happened.
Jumped on a call. Then Bilal was in Dubai, sitting there without a shirt, smoking cigarettes, explaining what we're doing with what we could do. And then, yeah, that's what happens. And now I think the opportunity that you and Adrian, our co-founder, saw was like growing space of NFTs, gaming, and pets. So, and yeah, it made sense to me. I looked at the stats because that's what I do, and so the markets, and I think we took the right choice.
Definitely, I think it was the right timing with the right people, and I don't think we could have done it any other way.
No, and it really, I think from the previous concept, it really evolved to what it is right now. A great brand, really promising opportunity for play to earn game. Or play and earn game, whatever you want to call it. And also just an IP. I mean, we want to build this like Pokemon or, I don't know, Tamagotchi. People should know it, and that's one of our goals for the next 4 years.
Interesting. Can you kind of restate the vision of Dogami, and what do you expect Dogami to bring? What do you think is going to be the impact of Dogami onto people?
I want to build a community for pet lovers that have their first interaction with blockchain and NFTs, but also not just a community that's there for the sake of experiencing blockchain, but I think we can really build a great and immersive experience where people can, have digital assets like their dogs and can have a bond with the dog and also make friends. And I think that should be the goal.
Community-centric?
Community-centric. It shouldn't be self-centric. I don't believe that a game or a media product that we are at the end of the day can survive only on the premise of giving out tokens. You know what I mean?
Of course.
We see it with Axie Infinity. Yes, they're trailblazers. Yes, it works. Yes, it made a few people rich. But the long-term entertainment value has yet to be proven. And also the long-term community value.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing about Dogami is that you can do so many things around it.
And reach out to so many people around it.
Yeah, also our community, right? I mean, it's like crypto fanatics and NFT collectors
and dog lovers,
most of all. And gamers, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Cocktail Molotov.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I see where you want to get to, but what do you want people from this community to tell about Dogami in kind of 5 years from now? What is the impact on them? Is it like getting introduced to a new paradigm? Is it like solve issues with people from like-minded thoughts? Or
Dogami was my first NFT, and I created my wallet for that. That should be a sort of memory.
Okay.
And then a second.
So adoption?
Sort of, just like everyone's talking about, oh yeah, I bought my first Bitcoin in 2017. It's like, when you meet real OGs, that's the story to tell you.
Yeah.
And I think where we are right now with adoption, etc., I think it could be a nice story that people say, okay, Dogami was my first NFT.
Yeah,
that's how I got into the space.
It has the potential, at least.
definitely.
All right.
And then, second thing should be, I had great memories, great experiences with Dogami, a lot of fun. I mean, I look back, it's actually something I should have mentioned in the intro. I used to be a big gamer, played 20,000 hours, Guild Wars and World of Warcraft and Counter-Strike Source and Call of Duty, all of which are very different games, but they're also very much around multiplayer and community. And I just remember these days where you play 12 hours straight and you just had fun with your friends.
True.
And I think this is to be the ambition.
All right. I wish that for us.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the community. Can you give us some KPIs about your community, some static number, growth?
Sure. Right now we have, I think, 170,000 people combined on both Twitter and Discord.
All right.
It's obviously great and growing. We only have, unfortunately, 4,000 holders currently of the NFTs. But the goal is until the end of the year to have 40,000 players.
Okay.
And next year, then 200,000 players. So, and then by 2024, at least 1 million players. So these are the goals. And then obviously this huge North Star of saying that everyone should know Dogami.
Of course. So we have kind of the numbers. What do you think are the key success factors to build a community like you did?
Good question. I mean,
like retrospectively, what do you think you've done?
When I compare us to other projects, etc., I think we're still very much on day one, to be honest. But I think what really propelled us forward was first having a great brand. But brand without substance doesn't really help. But also a good theme that people gravitate towards. In our case, it was the dogs. It was this play to earn aspect that really made a lot of people curious. And I mean, brand, I think, can't be overstated. It's what you see, it's what you feel, it's sort of what you remember at the end of the day when you go to a homepage. And then obviously also like a great team. I mean, we've been executing, all of us, very well. We've barely existed 8 months officially, and we made...
Well, the real communication started like in January, so...
September, like a bit, it was sort of building a bit. But you're right, I mean, we took 3 months to go from 0 community members to 5,000. And then we took 1 month to go from 5,000 to 100,000. And that's when
you have a product market fit.
That's right,
Now we need to monetize it.
So also shout out to all the community members who were on board early.
Do you have some specific growth tactics that you think were more impactful than the other?
I think the whitelist process for us was really elaborate.
Yeah.
It was really well thought through, because there were just a lot of elements, like let's say that you have to invite people on Discord really helped. I mean, we obviously also got a lot of bots which we had to remove. But then second, that you have to share stuff on Twitter, that really helped us boost the reach. And then also the process.
I would like to reformulate kind of playing between Twitter and Discord.
Yes, correct.
In a very recurrent way.
Yeah.
With simple minigames in the end, like retweet, follow.
Yeah, like gamified social media actions.
So social quests, kind of.
Social quests, yeah.
Social digital quests.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think also the prospect of being able to get a whitelist in the first place. I know it's been really a grind for some of the community members, but at least if you were active, you had a good shot at getting a whitelist. And we tried to make it even more, and I think that the challenge is going to be going forward that we also onboard new community members, because at the end of the day, we are in an industry and we have a network which is that benefits from having more players on board. and more NFT holders on board. And it's going to be a challenge to balance the needs of the OGs and new players that also want to come in without having to spend $1,000 on a dog. I think that's going to be critical.
Obviously. So yeah, let's sum up. Activating a community, growing a community requires gamification, routine, and mastering social networks such as Twitter and Discord, which are kind of the centered space where everything happens.
And I think also one thing we did that wasn't really, I wouldn't say badly received, but there were mixed reactions, was that when we decided to kill Telegram, we had a Telegram channel for a while, and we tried to do in both Telegram and Discord. It turned out that, on Telegram, you don't really have the opportunities to build a community like you do on Discord.
No.
So I think it was an important decision, because then at least we focused the activity in one place.
That was, true. Every project were on Telegram in the kind of ICO phase, but it's kind of limited to entertain, and the connectivity with other tools are not very simple. But my question was more toward the management of this community, which is critical to the success of the game, obviously.
Yeah.
And how do you manage 100,000 people on Discord? And have you thought yet of tools that could help you in this field of community management?
Yeah, I think there's a few different topics here. I mean, for community management, first is, I would say, activation of the community, right? Sort of growth hacking and keeping them entertained so there is new content. And the second one is the ticketing, like all of the issues people run into, etc. I think the first chunk, sort of the marketing activation or community activation, just requires a lot of ingenuity and creativity, and also interesting content. I mean, you can do contests where you reward people that are most active, and we made a mistake as well, but then you only get spam and people trying to
good morning, good night,
which is not really valuable, I think, for the wider community.
What are your thoughts? Okay, no, you missed the community tools.
Yeah, correct. The second chunk, ticketing. I mean, obviously we have a great group of mods, developers.
Okay.
Many of which are volunteers, which is obviously great. And for those, we have like an FAQ document so that they have, a quick answer to all the questions the community might have. And then a third aspect for the ticketing as well is build a good product that works. And second, also being proactive in the communication. So if you see that there might be an issue that some people have, to just be quicker than them and answer it to them. I mean, people will ask anyway because a lot don't read the announcements, but it helps you to,
I often say that you need to treat your community as your investors.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, they are kind of your investors. You sold them tokens, they're token holders. So, well, they're not investors, they're participants in an economy.
Stakeholders. Yeah.
But you owe them something. You owe them something because the value comes from them.
You owe them everything.
Yeah, we owe them everything. So it's very key in the mindset of Web3 founders to have this community-centric, community-driven approach to the acquisition. So we're talking about Web3, we're talking about community.
And I think you'd asked about the community tools, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff to be built, like chatbots and I don't know, like just stuff that helps you remove the work. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I've seen what Alexander, our head of growth, is doing, and it's been like a couple of days. I've been spending my evenings trying to find if someone thought of a tool that could automatize the analysis of Discord, give us some more insights. I'm sure in the server we can track what people tell to each other. We can find malicious people. We can understand their impression. do some natural language
Oh yeah,
processing
super interesting. Yeah.
on the data.
Sentiment analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's this new model, more community centric, is opening the doors to new businesses, which is
Yeah.
just fascinating. And we come from data background,
Yeah.
so we understand those things. All right, so we've talked about you, we've talked about your product.
Yeah.
Let's put Dogamí a little aside and center about your entrepreneurial adventure.
Mhm.
You mentioned in the beginning that when you got into Dogami, it was your first NFT. You didn't knew a lot about Web3. Maybe you had some cryptos, but can you describe this transition from Web2 of Web3?
Yeah.
And kind of your impression on the learning curve. What are your advice to new people who wants to do this?
Oh, yeah,
move?
that's a good one. Yeah, it's a wild ride. I think it's incredible. I came from a very fast-paced environment, but this is Web3 is 24/7, as you know. It's like insane, and it's really cool. I mean, I love it because it's global. I mean, you know, during the fundraising process, the morning you talk with Singapore and Australia, and the evening you talk with San Francisco, and that's what I love about it, because you can build a global business from day one, and that's amazing. Then obviously what I also didn't mention, but you know, at some point 2 years ago, I wrote on a paper what I want to do in 10 years, and I said, like, okay, in 10 years I want to lead a team that builds something innovative at, you know, sort of really
with a potential upside that is
no, actually on the technological frontier.
Okay.
Sort of.
Okay.
That really, you know, it's new, it's great technology, it's useful. That's sort of what I want it to be, and I think right now I'm really in the sweet spot. I mean, we're pioneering the gaming, we're pioneering how people, you know, experience web. Like, it's incredible.
Even more, we're pioneering like this paradigm shift in gaming, but we're also, I believe, we're connecting kind of the value of our generation, which are driven around ecology, who are driven about collaboration and sharing, with a tech that can also allow this. You've mentioned digital ownership, so empowering people to own what they're supposed to own. Whereas today they don't really own it, because it's stored on a centralized database, or it's an entitlement that is owned by the bank for some financial assets.
I agree. Yeah, we also change completely the perception of ownership. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Do you have some tips of how can I say, resources or influential people that who was providing good content for attacking this learning curve?
So I mean, personally, I read like Decrypt and Cointelegraph and these things, and then also to learn about new projects, just talk to a lot of people. So I talk with VCs weekly basis pretty much, and there I get a lot of insight. But I think, paradoxically enough, I learn the most from just talking to people in real life. So
that's true.
Yeah, because, and then obviously if I have questions, I reach out to some of our advisors and VCs. I'm aware that not everyone has the privilege to be in that situation. So my advice would probably be to just, you know, go on Discord and ask good targeted questions, and I'm sure there's going to be someone who can teach you something. I think what's the greatest about, the Web3 space, we're very early. Things are very rudimentary, so it's not overly complex, and it's still pretty easy to understand, like the different tech layers, etc. Whereas for Web2, I don't know, I could, you know, explain to you the DNS servers and systems, etc.
Yeah, you're right. The Lego are so small that taken apart, I mean, if you overcome this bias of tackling something new, maybe we're biased in saying that now. But it's not that complicated. I mean, like setting up a wallet is downloading an app now. We need to de-diabolize that. it's important to do mistakes.
Yeah.
Quickly. Take a step back. Try to understand the reasons, and move forward. What do you think was kind of the mistakes you've done in this past year or in this past 9 months? As an entrepreneur, maybe outside the, it's not necessarily connected to Dogami
Yeah,
specifically.
sure. Oh, that's a tricky one. Requires some reflection, but I would say I should have focused on hiring earlier, I would say. And I think every startup founder is going to tell you that.
Definitely.
I should have maybe, you just waste time sometimes, but that's almost part of the process. Also with my personal, should delegate more, should talk earlier to people, like just those things. But I think you have to experience them yourself to actually know what it means.
Exactly. Yeah, totally right. It's like when we're kids and they tell us things, but
you fall and you hurt yourself, and then
and you get the message.
And you hope that the damage is not big enough. No, but also I think one of the biggest learnings, and I think we made a lot of mistakes there, is the lack of proactive communication to our community members, especially with the token launch. As you said, like people want transparency, and they're gonna dig on the blockchain, etc. And I think we could have saved a lot of sleepless nights
and stress.
And stress, most of all, to not create this FUD around you. And the second one is probably, yes, I agree that we have to build and stuff and just try things out. But once your community grows, you also need to be sure that stuff works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you make the right choices.
Yeah.
Because each mistake will impact more and more people.
And actually, and that's the third point, that's also a thing, just like in other startup scaling, like you have to reflect deeply on, is this feature you're about to add gonna add value to your end users? Or could it be, resolved more pragmatically? I think that's also some of the key takeaways.
Really challenge kind of the minimal viable product that you need each step of the way in a very lucid manner. And I would even ask tolerance zero risk. Like if you don't feel comfortable, leave it for the next time. Very insightful. Thanks, Max.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I want to a couple last questions before, one or two last questions before we get into the ritual part, which is the end of the
oh no
of the podcast.
Do we also have to? Did you read that Megan Fox occasionally drinks the blood of her fiance? Yeah.
No.
Is that the ritual we're gonna do?
No. Another type of ritual.
Sorry.
What I like about what I like most about you is you have the maturity to put some barriers on yourself. What are the rituals that keeps you in those barriers? Yeah,
like every great founder. Get up at 4:30, read newspaper, meditate.
You don't
read
do
a
that.
book. No, I sleep long. I don't know. To be honest, do I have a ritual? No, I don't have rituals. I think I just have so much stuff to do that I weed out the unimportant things anyway.
Okay.
And just staying organized. I mean, if you've been stressed before and you were not organized, it hurts. So after a while, you just sort of adopt those being more organized, I think.
Okay, so you took the habit and you tried to...
Yeah, correct. But also, I did read not a lot, but I did read some stuff online or in books.
Okay.
To sort of shape my thinking.
All right.
I would say.
Anything to share?
I mean, there's tiny habits. I also have the habit of not finishing books. So I probably read like 10%, but I got the key message. It's like breaking habits down to the very small bits and then putting reminders everywhere so that and not taking on too many
reminders everywhere. I also do that. I have my to-do list like in 5 different mediums.
Yeah, doomed to fail almost. And also Trello. Like
Trello? I saw you a lot on Trello, man.
Yeah.
I didn't got like I don't know. I didn't grasp it.
Yeah. And sometimes what I do is I have like a huge list of to-dos, and I'm like, I need to finish these 3 things in a day. And I think doing, let's say, 3 things fully is better than doing 10 things at 0.2 or 20% of 10 things, because
stop starting and start finishing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go in the ritual phase.
Oh no.
So in the ritual phase, I have like 4 rituals.
Yeah.
The first one, I'd like to know if you are. How do you motivate yourself? Are you more of you need external forces to motivate yourself? Example, you give an appointment at 8 a.m. at the library next day, so that you engage yourself and you have to go. Or are you the kind who introspect a little bit more and kind of like insult himself, like I don't know, you won't get married if you don't finish that before this time. I cannot do that.
I see. No, I think I'm more the first one.
External?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, not 100%. I mean, there's stuff that's important to me, but yeah.
All right.
It's more external, and I try to have other people hold me accountable.
Exactly. I see what you mean. That's a good approach.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the economic outlook, on Bitcoin breaking under 40K? For me, they shouldn't be correlated, but what are your thoughts? How do you think the economic outlook is going to impact crypto? When do you expect kind of the things to get complicated?
I don't know when I should expect things to become complicated, but I think for the outlook, what we see is that crypto is just very much influenced or correlated with the price of normal equities like stocks. And I think that's largely driven by retail investors. They get bad news, they pull out, etc. And also these days with Bitcoin, even though it's supposed store of value, you hear from like market makers and exchanges that it's largely driven by institutional investors who just trade big chunks every day, and they move the market. And I think right now, and I'm not an expert necessarily, but I don't see like a negative correlation to the equities prices. And considering the Ukraine crisis, rising interest rates, and generally speaking, a bit more cautious funding environment and investment environment, I think we're going to be in a sort of stagnation phase for a while. But then again, I don't think that there's going to be this crypto winter because there's just too much funding. There's too many projects.
It's going to keep going?
Yeah. And there's too much talent pouring and too much ideas pouring into the space for it to completely
That's true. It's a whole generation who wants to get into Web3.
Yeah.
It's really impressive, the inflection point we've reached right now.
I mean, obviously the both of us are very biased, but still, I mean, many friends of me reach out to me like, I want to do this and that and that and that. It's amazing.
Definitely. A couple dilemmas.
Oh yeah.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Was an easy one.
Yeah. Because I'm allergic to cats.
All right, makes sense.
Yeah.
BCG consultant or CEO?
CEO.
Of course. What a question. Steve Jobs or Elon Musk?
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
Maybe we can take a moment. What do you like in both of them?
Steve Jobs, I think his product vision was amazing. Also his Vita, like having Pixar and then being fired from his own company, etc. I think very inspiring person. Also what he's built with Apple. Elon Musk, I mean, he revolutionized a public sector that is spacecraft and took it sort of into the private sector. Completely nuts. So I think I really like Elon Musk for what he is. I take him with a bit of a grain of salt. But I think I find Steve Jobs almost more inspiring.
Interesting. I would be more of an Elon Musk guy.
Yeah.
But that's not my podcast.
Yeah.
Twitter or Metaverse? 2D social networks or 3D social networks?
Ooh. That's a tricky one. For me right now, it's Twitter.
Okay.
I have to say.
Twitter is such a powerful tool.
Yeah,
In the beginning, I didn't like it. I didn't understood.
Me neither.
But what are your thoughts on Elon's move on Twitter?
Oh, it's incredible. Fuck.
It started as a joke or something.
Who would have thought that he buys Twitter? That's insane. It's a bit concerning too, but let's see what he does with it.
Yeah, let's give him the benefits of the doubt.
Yeah.
All right, let's have the last question and we wrap up. Kind of the atypical question I've thought.
Yeah.
Do you think sentient aliens have pets? Do you think sentient
like aliens
have pets?
Yeah,
it was 2 a.m. when I did the question.
Yeah, sure, why not?
What do you think they look like? Do you think the aliens are the pets of some?
That's a good question. Maybe they are like don't have legs and it's like a vacuum cleaner like floating. I don't know.
All right. Do you believe in aliens?
No.
No, you don't?
No, of course. No, actually, I believe in them because I mean Murphy's law, right? Whatever can happen will happen, so to say.
True.
Yeah.
At some point.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah, I believe in aliens. Yeah. I think we're not the only one.
No.
Probably not at the same moment. Maybe they're far away, but I mean, it's just probability.
Absolutely.
So in this myriad of stars, there must be something somewhere.
Yeah. If you were a dog, Bilal, what dog breed would you be?
What dog breed would I be? I would be. How do you call it? Un lévrier anglais? An English.
Terrier? No.
The English dog.
We're
doing an English dog.
Bulldog? No.
No.
Greyhound.
The English.
Greyhound.
A greyhound? Okay, greyhound. So greyhound.
Maybe you have to cut that lack of knowledge about dog breeds out.
True.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm actually scared of dogs, man.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why we have virtual dogs. Can't bite you.
Exactly.
Not yet.
Exactly. Oh my god, imagine they could. Well, with what Mark Zuckerberg is doing with his
hand
stuff, sensibility.
Many other purposes for that device, I think.
Maybe I can overpass my fear of getting bitten with that.
Yeah.
Because actually it's like a baby that's what everybody says, but I'm not able to do it yet. But it's like a baby. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
And then he knows it's not supposed to hurt you.
True.
Okay.
Deep insights.
Yeah, deep insights.
Starlink or SpaceX?
SpaceX.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Why? I used to be a physicist.
Yeah.
I have the head in the clouds.
Yeah.
If I had the opportunity, I would definitely go to space. I'd rather go to space than put something in my brain.
True. Fair enough.
But it's probably simple. It's gonna. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's getting more and more mainstream. What Jeff is doing. What Elon is doing.
Yeah.
What I truly believe that in 5 to 7 years we will experiment it to go to space.
I think so too. Yeah.
As a tourist attraction or something like that.
Totally.
We wrapped up without the most important question.
True.
Before you leave, what can you share with the community? I know we're doing a lot of brand partnerships.
Yes.
I usually talk too much, so I'll ask you the question.
Yeah, sure.
How many brands? What can you tell to hype the community? How many brands and partnerships can they expect by the end of the year?
Yeah. So the strategy is sort of, high quality, big impact partnerships. So
Okay.
especially for the beginning.
Okay.
So
everyone with less than 1 million followers, don't even try it.
Correct. Yeah. No, let's stay humble here. But so we want to have partnerships that make sense. So we're talking with big retail fashion brands.
Okay.
Like really household names. We're talking with football clubs.
Nice.
We're talking with
Champions League class football club.
Potentially. Then we're talking with who else? Musicians, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any?
And then also, I'd love to do a partnership with one big NFT project.
A big NFT project.
I don't know, is it Geese or Wonder Woman or Bored Ape Yacht Club?
Okay.
I think that would be really cool. Yeah.
We replace the kernels of the Bored Apes with the Dogamis?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, let's
do mutant Dogamis.
And the mutant Dogamis?
Yes.
Ah.
No, please, no. Community.
No mutant. It's a dog's world.
So we're working on a few big partnerships where we can do accessories for the dogs.
Okay.
We can build experiences for the game in the long run. And yeah, we have the NFT drop.
How do you see the bridge between the virtual and the physical in Dogami?
That's a good question. I think we're gonna see. So we build something in the digital space that's gonna become reality in the physical space after, and that's what I'm really excited about. So the fashion retailer I was talking about, they want to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not signed yet, but basically you have first accessories in the Petaverse, and then you have accessories in real life.
Nice.
That would be quite incredible.
So my accessories in the game, I can actually wear them just like
your dog can wear them.
My dog can wear them. Fun. All right. At least it makes sense, and it's important, I think, to connect.
Yeah.
To contextualize, to anchor.
Yeah.
With some physical outlet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and apart from that, we have the NFT drop end of May, so that's going to be quite big.
All right. How many breeds?
Can I disclose that? I think so, 5.
Okay.
Yeah, release 5 breeds.
5 new breeds.
Yes. Good ones, really good ones.
I'm
really looking forward.
I know. All right. We've been
Thank you very much.
Dreaming.
Yeah.
Hopefully enabling dreams to our auditors. Thanks, Max. I really enjoyed it.
Bilal. Yeah.
In the end, it was pretty smooth.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm going to invite next time, but I hope it's going to be as fun as now. Thanks.